I just finished writing my book and the fear is coming for me. And I want to talk about that because I think it's something that a lot of writers feel. If you're new here, my name's Kieren. I'm a writer and a freelance editor, and I love to help writers tell their stories while having fun doing it. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the past 2 or 3 years with this book. I've really enjoyed writing it. It's not my first book. It won't be my last. It's not perfect, but I do think it's probably my best one yet. I've spent hundreds of hours on it, from the planning to the writing to the editing and a bit more editing, but that's just what we do, isn't it? But it was in that very last edit that the fear began, and you might know what I'm talking about. I'm sitting at my desk one day and I felt it. A shudder. Felt like the impact of something was bearing down on me from a great distance away. Even from that far, I could feel it in the air all around me. For a while, I distracted myself by pouring my time and energy into making a nice cover for the book and writing a blurb for it. Nice, creative tasks. And I was able to ignore the fear for a little while, but all the time, it was getting closer. When that design work was finished and I couldn't tweak anything else, I stood up and I looked out my window, and this time I could see it coming. It was on the horizon, this kind of ripple in the sky, and I could feel it vibrating the air around me. I could hear it buzzing and crackling. It was getting closer. So I did the obvious thing, the clear solution to this growing problem. I drew the blinds, I put on headphones, and I tried to ignore how the air around me was starting to feel charged. To distract myself even further, again, I went back to work, putting time and energy into formatting the paperback and the ebook, making everything look nice and presentable and as perfect as I could make it. I somehow thought that would be enough to get me past the fear, even though I could feel the vibrations from it moving closer and closer, wave after wave. Another day, I sat at my desk, and with a clear moment of horror, I realised that everything was finished. I had nothing else to work on. The fear was there. It was creeping under the door of my writing room and through the cracks around my window. It was fully charged. It was passing over me in waves. I could feel it pressing in on me, and I could hear it buzzing and crackling in the air around me. In other words, the fear had me, and its vibrations and its static and its waves brought with it everything that I'd always been a little bit worried about and everything I was trying not to think about. It felt like it was impossible to get out from underneath it. I could feel its weight on me all the time whenever I sat at my desk. But still, I sat there. I came back. I even tried doing a little bit of writing for something other than the book. I could still feel it vibrating through my fingertips and buzzing in the air all around me. I could still feel the waves passing over me. Until one day. And it wasn't gone. And it wasn't any different, in fact. It was just that now it felt like I could push it away just a little bit more. Weeks went on like this, and I was starting to notice it a little bit less. I was making sure that everything from the listing on my website to the Amazon page was all perfect and ready to go. And the fear was still there. It was still right on my shoulders. But it wasn't controlling me anymore, at least not as much. At some point, I suppose, without really realising, I just got used to it. And today, talking to you right now, the fear is here. It's in the room with me. I'm sure by now, even if you've never felt the fear yourself, you can imagine what it might be. For me, I'm of course speaking figuratively about waves and buzzing and static, but the fear to me is judgment, and it comes from having people read my work. Your book will never be good. You've made huge mistakes. It's going to be so disappointing. People are going to be They'll know you're not actually good at this. You've got no business doing what you do. How can you edit someone else's work? You're an imposter. The fear is the bad reviews that I've already written in my head about the parts of the story that I just couldn't perfect. The fear is the idea of family and friends reading it and thinking, why is he trying to do this when he obviously isn't cut out for it? The fear is all the parts of other talented writers' stories that just never even occurred to me to include or think about. The fear is knowing that I've tried my absolute best on this book and that it just won't be good enough for some people, and that's unavoidable. And I think whoever you are, whatever kind of writer you are, even though I'm speaking figuratively, the fear does come in waves. Sometimes I feel like I can just grit my teeth, press the release button on the book, and just see what happens. Sometimes I wonder how long I can really go on without ever releasing a full book. Sometimes I even convince myself that that doesn't matter. Maybe I'm just writing for me and it's all self-expression. But if I'm really being honest, I know I didn't write this book or any of my previous books just to keep them to myself and never show anyone. I didn't spend hundreds of hours working on this thing and fine-tuning it just to let the fear take control. This book is my 8th book since 2014, and some of them just weren't good enough by the time they were finished to show anyone, and I stand by that. That isn't the fear talking. Some of them I just didn't love anymore by the time they were finished, but some of them are okay, and I should have done something with them, and that is the fear. But as you'll know, if you're writing a story, or especially if you've finished one, showing someone something that you've put so much effort into is a really daunting prospect. There are hundreds of reasons not to do it, probably way more reasons not to do it than there are to do it. But we're going to do it anyway, because that fear will always be there. That's something that I've learned. And I want to ask you a question, because I think this could be useful. Put yourself in this position. You've finished your story. You've worked for ages on it. You've put loads of effort into it, and you've reached the limit, or what you think is the limit of your skill and your time and your patience. In that position, what does the fear look like for you? What form does it take? Let me know in the comments. I feel a bit better just for saying mine out loud in this video. I feel like I can push it away a little more strongly now, so maybe that can happen for you. So, I wrote this book, I believe in it, and I hope the people that read it enjoy it, because that's what it's for. It's called Project Ventus, and it's coming out on the 29th of April. Check my website for more details. And a week from today, I'm sending out the first chapter to my free mailing list. So get signed up at the link in the description if you want to read that before the book comes out. This is old advice, but I think it does stand up. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I think that's a lot of what being a writer is all about. So thank you so much for watching, as always, and happy writing.
Thank you for being punctual, Juliet. You'd be surprised how many...
Is this on?
Yes. We
record all of our interviews.
For posterity. Is that a problem?
Would it make a difference?
Well, no. But I'd like it if you were comfortable. We're just interested in your work. As you know, it's taken us some time to gather the facts of the Havana operation. Now it's time to call on your knowledge of the project.
I'll tell you what I can, but I don't really understand it that much. I just do what I'm told.
You were the project lead, though, correct?
Plus, you don't strike me as a do-what-you're-told
kind of person.
Based on this 20 seconds of conversation? Or based on whatever research and spying you've done on me?
Both.
But sure, it's just about my work. Sure,
I'm not even in the picture, right?
If you followed orders, then this is all just simply the chain of command. Nothing to worry about.
Fine, but I'm not cleared to speak on any of it. I signed
NDAs.
Oh, of course. Let me just find the correct document here. Ah, here it is. This supersedes any and all NDAs. As you can see, it carries some rather weighty signatures. You're free to speak openly without fear of retaliation.
Fine. Again, I just do what I'm told. I don't know the details.
As project lead, if you don't know the details, who does?
Some of your weighty signatures, I'd imagine.
Well, you're probably right.
But you've already spoken to them.
Of course we have. All paths led to you, Juliet.